Yo, thank you all so much for tuning in. My name is Cody Vondell, and we are back today with another episode of the best free fonts. We are currently in the Frutiger Metro era, so this is episode 2 of the best free Frutiger fonts. Let's take a second real quick to check out what we created on screen in our last video. Keep in mind, none of the fonts that we're using today were created by Swiss type designer Adrian Frutiger. Instead, these fonts are more of that nostalgic 2000s Metro grunge aesthetic I was really into back in the day. And of course, you can check out the back catalog on the best free Y2K fonts, the best free Gothic fonts, best free streetwear fonts, and all that. You may have noticed a little bit of time has flown by between the last episode and now. Check out this video I recently posted about staying creative and productive during rough and uncertain times. From moving out of Atlanta to revisiting my 2000s music, losing my cat, to starting my designer toy arc. I had to go on some side quests, but we are back on the main mission, and that is cool free fonts. Before we get started, make sure to hop over on the Discord server where you can find all kinds of cool design assets and an amazing community full of artists, designers, music producers, everyone sharing their current works in progress, research. It's an amazing community, and we hope to see you over there soon. Gotta give a huge thank you to all my patrons for making what I do possible. Over on my Patreon is where you'll find exclusive drops and early access to brand new raw media as I work on upcoming projects. Now, with all that being said, let's hop on screen and get started.
All right, so we have a bunch of fonts picked out. Let's go ahead and open up the Metro Grunge Volume 2 Vector Kit and just start picking out a bunch of pieces that might be fun to kind of match up with some of these different fonts here. In no real particular order, just grabbing some fun pieces and seeing how they work. Got a basic idea of where we're going to go, but this isn't a client project. Not going to focus too heavily on stuff. We're just going to grab some vector pieces and have fun. Let's go ahead and drop them in. Something like that. Nice. All right. Going to get these all lined up there. Perfect. Let's start with Bauhaus 93. One of my favorite fonts of all time. This was packaged with Microsoft Word back in the 90s and the early 2000s. So I've been using this since before I was a designer. I even had a CBZL song when I was doing music called Bauhaus 93. Kind of a fun little throwback. So right now, let's go ahead and get it on 3 different layers. Let's play around with that kerning. That is the space between the letters. We're holding down our Option key and using our arrows to just kind of fill that in. I think this font looks really good when the letters are kind of touching and real squished together like that. So that's kind of what we're going for. And next, we're going to go with that kind of classic Y2K thick outline kind of look. So basically, just getting all 3 of these layers. One has a thick black outline. Over top, we've got a thick white outline. And on top of that, we've got no outline at all. So that's how we're getting that kind of 3 layers working together to create something that looks good. Already, I'm kind of liking the way this is all fitting together. Let's go ahead and fill in some of these little pieces right here, just like in the O, D, the other O, and the E. Just kind of making sure we don't have any extra little spaces that feel unnecessary. So already I feel like that's pretty clean. Maybe the next thing we can do, let's grab some of these halftone patterns. It's kind of a grungy, gritty looking halftone pattern kind of thing. But yeah, we can scale that down just a little bit, kind of play around with it back here. Kind of placement wise, we might grab it, copy it, paste it back in, maybe scale it down some. And like I said, guys, this isn't a client project. We're not really focused on anything other than just, playing with style and having fun. So, already I think that's looking pretty cool. We're going to go ahead and create outlines. So maybe if we wanted to, we could kind of play around with like the rounded edges of the letters. We don't have to do that though. Something that you could do, be worthwhile, to do. This font always looks good, but we're not going to spend the time to do that today. I like this little city thing that we used during the Metro breaks, the audio sample kits from last summer, but I think that'll come in handy on a different one. Let's try some of these 1950s sci-fi looking kind of pieces here. Let's see how they work out. Maybe this could work. Maybe we'll end up using these in a different piece. But let's go ahead and get them, in the project. They're live. We're working with them, kind of seeing how it goes. Maybe we can copy and paste it at a few different sizes and just kind of get a feel for how that might look. Yeah. Next up, we got City Life. Well, let's do something kind of sci-fi, kind of Matrix, simulacra, simulation, some fun stuff there. And then we'll convert to outlines just like we did on our last one. But this time we're not going to be doing kind of rounded corners, anything like that. We're just going to kind of play around with the place. This is such a displaced and gritty kind of glitchy font. Kind of playing around a little bit with just like the placement of the letters. It's something that looks a little bit out of sync It doesn't necessarily make sense. It's a little chaotic, but I think it might actually work for this particular font. Something about it, it feels chaotic, and something about it, I think it's going to work. But we can grab this little piece that we were looking at on our last velodrome piece and drop it here into the simulacra simulation. And that's actually looking pretty cool. Kind of has that gritty sidewalk, you know, kind of just street, you know, grungy, derelict kind of vibe. So already off to a pretty clean start.
Yo, I don't do any channel sponsors, so if you want to support what I do, make sure to hop over on my Etsy, where you can find all the vector kits that I'm using on screen and other cool merch like stickers, pins, patches, hats, shirts, and more. And back to the video.
Grungy, Metro Grungy TM, but you know what I'm saying. Next up, playing Mindless Self-Indulgence. One of my favorite bands of all time when I was a kid. Don't really listen to them these days, but they got a fun font to play with, and that, as far as I know, this is the Mindless Self-Indulgence font. So right now, we're just going to play with this little Audio Warriors motif. That was a little project that I had going on back in the day, kind of predates the Googieverse a little bit. So we're going to do a very similar thing that we did with the Simulacra simulation piece. We're kind of playing around with the placement. And we're also going to play around a little bit with the size of these letters too, and just kind of just get a basic idea for which these letters on the end look kind of cool when they're scaled up, and the other ones are in the middle are kind of scaled down. Once again, kind of playing around with the kerning. Now that we've already converted to outlines, though, we don't have to hold down Option and use our arrow keys. We can just grab these individual pieces and just you know, do what we want with them, and kind of grab all these pieces and drop them down here. And maybe we should get these things grouped and sort of centered. I think something like that's looking pretty cool. Definitely feeling this, looking pretty nice. Maybe we can bring these letters up some, and let's see how that looks. All right, I'm thinking that's looking pretty cool. We're really leaning into the Metro grunge today. It's feeling very grungy. Not a lot of clean lines, and that's okay. Sometimes it's fun to just get a little messy with the vectors. So we got our thick black outline. That's looking pretty nice. It's almost kind of Y2K element, but it's also got this really gritty vibe to it that I'm really having a fun time with. I think maybe we can grab some of these like paint splatters and bring those over here. We don't need to worry about the slant font necessarily, but yeah, maybe some of these fonts here, or excuse me, some of these little paint splatters will look good with this font. I think they will. Already looking pretty nice. Pretty nice placement. I think of other things that we can do with this one. Probably going to grab these arrows. Let's grab these arrows and see what all we can come up with. Now it's almost looking like a mix between like Jet Set Radio and Mindless Self-Indulgence, two defining parts of my my youth in the 2000s. So I'd say that's a fun little mashup. And yeah, get these kind of arrows, kind of abstract, pointed in different directions. That's definitely giving sort of a Jet Set feel, maybe a little messier, but still in that kind of lane with the you know, overall aesthetic. And we'll have to see where this goes with color. I'm not sure if I'm going to color on screen or if I'm going to handle that later, but we'll have to see. So already kind of playing around with our arrows here. I think something like this is actually looking pretty cool. We'll probably want to fix up some of these little details, but overall I think we got a pretty cool idea right now. I'm pretty excited about that. Let's go ahead and kind of scale these arrows down. It's like I want to keep the size of the arrows, but at the same time it's like, this piece is feeling a lot bigger than those other two, as far as just like how much stuff we've got going on outside of the words. So it's like we want that style, but also we don't want it to be too distracting. So maybe we can grab some of these speakers and just see how it works back here. Can't guarantee it's going to stay. Nah, I'm not feeling it. It was worth checking out though. Worth checking out for sure. Let's group these guys, scale it down a little bit. We've got another one done. All right, that's 3 down. Let's play with something a little bit cleaner. We've been super grungy today. Let's go Moderna. Something nice and clean. So this little ball here that we had there, we're going to keep that, but we're just going to kind of mix it into this kind of thing. So we'll kind of be playing with that. Once again, that mid-century kind of futuristic, very clean, modern kind of look. Moderna, it feels like it fits. And now we're just going to kind of play with what works here. I'm not sure if we really want it to touch the M like that. Probably want to keep it separate. I think something like this, really simple, really clean, might actually work.
Yo, if you like the background music that you hear in my videos, I create it all. Just search Cody Vondell on your preferred streaming service. can also find me on SoundCloud or Bandcamp, where I have royalty-free audio sample packs that you can use in your own original music. Now back to the video.
That being said, let's just kind of leave it clean and let's play with our last one of the day. Maybe our last one. And that is Devil Breeze. Really fun font here. Definitely was using this one on some posters back in the day. All right, that got a little bit messy, but I think we're getting there now. Just kind of undoing and redoing a couple of things. I'd say that's looking pretty good. All right, so we're going to turn on some outlines and start playing around with some of that. See what we've got going on. I think the outline looks pretty cool. Let's see what else we can do. Maybe we'll just go for that, like, really, stereotypical 2000s. You got all the, the radials and the florals and all that kind of stuff. Some paint splatters, some drips going on. We're dialing it in a little bit on this one. Won't lie, dialing it in. But it's okay. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes it's just, we're just going for a style that feels, basic, but not bad. So that's kind of what we're doing here today, I guess, with this dream reality piece. I think I like it though. One thing we could do maybe, once we get these floral pieces kind of feeling comfortable, let's bring in some radials. All right, so we'll grab a couple more and see how they work out. Just all about finding the right, the right little pieces and how they're going to work together. So I think something like that's looking good. Kind of got the symmetrical radial feel. We kind of place it back there behind the thick outline on the font. So we kind of, I'll turn off that outline a little bit there, and then get this sort of feeling good. Maybe I'll just drop it in here. Trying to just get stuff comfy. This is just, like I said, a little bit dialed in, but we're still having fun with it. Kind of drop it up here a little bit. And already, I'm thinking maybe one thing we can do, scale that up just a little bit, push it back. We'll keep it right there. That works. We'll push this one back. Do something fun like that. It looks a little bit symmetrical right there. I think we're, it's dialed in, but it feels good. I like this one. It's comfy, and nothing wrong with it. Maybe one little thing we could do, kind of playing around a little bit with the sizing on the outlines. Sometimes it takes you a little bit to just kind of work out the little bits and pieces of these vector logos. A bunch of little parts that you want to make sure feel right together. So, and I'd say that is our finished piece. Looking good. All right, last one. We're just going to kind of have fun with this one. We're going to use this slant right here. And this, let's see, slant. Grab that one. And this piece, I think we're going to do something fun. Let's go ahead and have it say launch pad. Let's go ahead and, once again, let's play with the kerning and maybe think of a different way that we can handle this. So maybe we can just turn on the stroke so that we have a little bit of an outline, and we can do, black text with white outline and something like that. So it's a little bit, playing around with, not thick outlines on this one. Thick outlines do not work necessarily on that font, in my opinion. But I like the idea of like the launch pad kind of playing into the letter L, something like that. I think that's, it's not the most intense logo ever, but it works. Nice.
And that wraps up today's episode on the best free Frutiger fonts. It's another one in the books. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to check out that recent video I posted on staying creative and productive during rough and uncertain times. Once again, a major shout out to all my patrons. As always, I'll be talking to you over on the Discord server, and I'll catch you in my next video. Thank you all.